Got a fun one for you guys today because of, climate change and all that fun stuff, glaciers melting, sea levels rising, water wars that'll eventually happen. Yeah, good time. So, this is what the New York Times has to say. The EPA is driving away scientists, and that's just what Trump wants. Because climate change is a Chinese hoax, right? Yeah. Donald Trump has made no secret of his disdain for the Environmental Protection Agency over the years. Here's a clip of him calling it the Department of Environmental because he didn't know what he was talking about.
But largely, we can eliminate the Department of Education. Department of Environmental, the DEP is killing us environmentally. It's just killing our businesses. That can be...
Yeah. 2 decades ago, in his book, The Art of the Comeback, he mounted a furious defense of asbestos. And in the first year of his presidency, Trump has appointed a handful of zealots to lead the agency. Most notable among them is Scott Pruitt, the former Attorney General of Oklahoma, who repeatedly sued the EPA in his old job and now likes to cozy up with the industry executives he's supposed to be regulating. Of course, so what do Republicans do for organizations that they deem unnecessary or, want to get rid of, essentially, but they know they can't? What do? They put people in charge who they know will not do their job on purpose, so that way the regulation and the red tape is, essentially eliminated without having to actually eliminate it. So that's the whole little scheme there. You know what I mean? You disagree with the Environmental Protection Agency. You think they're killing us. The Department of Environmental is killing us. Like, you think that, right? So what do if you think that? You're going to put somebody in charge who's going to do everything that you deem necessary, which in this case would be not regulating different corporations and things like that to protect the environment. Day one, Trump signed a regulation that allows corporations to pollute waterways. Day one, he did that. So this is what we're dealing with. It turns out that Trump is not just damaging the EPA by appointing people hell-bent on its destruction. He's also driving people who want the agency to succeed. All told, more than 700 people have left the agency since Trump took office, and most of them aren't being replaced, according to the Times. At the start of December, the agency had 14,188 full-time employees, nearly 3,000 fewer than it had at the end of President Obama's first year in office. Among those departing the agency are lawyers, program managers, and environmental protection specialists, along with 200 scientists. More than 27% of those who left this year were scientists, including 34 biologists and microbiologists, 19 chemists, 81 environmental engineers and environmental scientists, and more than a dozen toxicologists, life scientists, and geologists. Okay. Climate change is real, okay? I did a video on this maybe a month or two ago, where we were discussing the hurricanes. These hurricanes that were happening, there were like 5 in a week. One hit West Africa, one hit Mexico, one hit Florida, one hit Texas, and one hit somewhere else, I can't remember. But there were 5. Oh, Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico. So 5. Well, no, maybe it was 4 because the Puerto Rico one probably was the one that also, messed up Florida. So I don't, but there was at minimum 4 in 1 week. They said that 3 of those hurricanes were once every 100-year hurricanes, and one of them, I believe, was a once every 500-year hurricane. So to have 3 of those in a week, when they're only supposed to happen once every 100 years, I think that's a fairly reasonable indicator of climate change. Is it proof? Of course not. Is it evidence? Yes. It's strong evidence. Could it just be a fluke that randomly, for whatever reason, this year we happen to have 4 hurricanes, 3 of which were supposed to happen only once every couple hundred years or whatever. Is that a coincidence? I don't think so. At the same time that fracking is going on all over the world, earthquakes are happening. The polar ice caps are being drilled in Alaska. Obama said that was okay. Yeah, this is bad. This is really bad because it's oh man, like it's really really bad because what's gonna happen? Like I mentioned earlier in the video, drought, extreme drought. They said the Middle East is gonna be uninhabitable relatively soon. I live in Arizona. So if it's going to be uninhabitable there, that's going to happen here eventually also. All right? That's the reality of the situation. It's going to happen here too because this is the desert also. It barely rains here. There's, you know what I mean? Like there's the only green that you really see out here is cactuses or cacti, whatever the plural is. And palm trees, that were implanted here from Cali. They're not even naturally from here. That's pretty much the only green you see. You'll see fake grass, stuff like that, but there's not too much green. It's super dry. It's mostly just, sand, dirt, rocks, mountains, things like that. So it gets really hot here. In the summertime, it can get up to 120, 121 degrees on some days. Climate change will make it so that is the norm. And it's not just that things are getting hotter, it's extreme weather events as well. So whenever you see Republicans out here like, oh, well, it's snowing or it's cold today, so clearly climate change isn't happening. It's not global warming. That's why they changed it from global warming to climate change, just because, yes, the world is getting warmer. You can measure it in the oceans, which is the biggest part of the atmosphere. That's the most, that's the biggest percentage of the Earth is ocean. It's water. It's not land. It's water. So if the water temperatures are rising, guess what happens? Polar ice caps are going to melt. Glaciers are going to melt. What does that do? That rises the sea level. What does rising sea level do? It swallows the country, or the countries, the islands, and also the borders of specific continents are going to be a lot smaller. That's what's going to happen. Florida is eventually not going to be as big because the water's going to it's going to come onto the land because that ocean water has to go somewhere. It's not just going to stay where it is. If you fill a pool with too much water, what happens? It overflows, right? And then it gets on the land around the pool. That's what's happening right now with the ocean. That's what's happening right now. It's crazy. And then people are worried about immigration, and people are worried about, oh, we don't want them over here. Trump tried to ban all Muslims from coming into the country. People are scared of ISIS, and oh my God, ISIS is going to come to America and kill everybody. If you're worried about those things, climate change could actually help reduce the amount of refugees that we would need to come over here. You know why? Because when the Middle East is uninhabitable, where are all those people going to go? They're going to go to Europe, and they're going to come here. Maybe some will go to Asia, I don't know. But what I'm saying is the rest of the planet is going to be overpopulated when everyone has to leave the Middle East because it's uninhabitable. It's literally too hot for human beings to live there. So for all you right-wingers out there who, don't like Muslims and don't want them in our country and all of that kind of stuff, maybe climate change will help your cause a little bit. Being aware of climate change, I should say. So the EPA has lost not all, they lost a lot of scientists, which is terrible. So Trump's goal is working. The fact that he wants to essentially dismantle the EPA, him and Scott Pruitt sued them multiple times, dozens of times. I don't know if it's dozens, but he sued them a lot. So for him to be in charge of it and be doing Trump's bidding and essentially dismantle it, we should have all expected this. We should have seen it coming. He got out of the Paris Climate Agreement, which wasn't even a treaty. It was an agreement. It's like a gentleman's handshake. That's what Kyle Kalinske says. He compares it to a gentleman's handshake, basically saying, look, we're all just going to do our part here, right? Everybody agrees? Okay, cool. That's what it was, and he got out of that. So they don't care. They don't care about science. They don't care. When Ben Shapiro says stuff like facts over feelings, that's bullshit, because science is the ultimate fact. Science is concrete facts. So if you don't believe in science, when 97, 98% of the scientists, of the climate scientists in the world are saying, yes, climate change is real and it's happening because of human activity. What happened to facts over feelings? Apparently that only applies when it comes to, issues of, LGBT rights and black people being in jail and Arabs living in sewage. Apparently that's what you mean by facts over feelings, right? This is ridiculous. It's really sad, and I just wish that I really wish that the voters were more aware, because if the voters were more aware of the ramifications of these actions, Trump wouldn't be in office, because they realize that their lives would be in danger. And that's just purely because of, climate change, weather events. That has nothing to do with, the immigration thing that I brought up earlier. Your life isn't in danger because of that. Your life is definitely in danger because of climate change. So we got to do something. We have to do something to slow it down. Like, we can't even, I don't even know if we can reverse it at this point because it's too far gone. We have to do something to slow it down. If your house is on fire and it's mostly on fire, like, are you still going to try to put it out, or are you just going to let it burn all the way to the ground? You're going to try to salvage some of your stuff, right? I don't know, man. Like, share, subscribe. Thanks for watching Midwest Coast Politics. Catch you next time.